welcome to my amazing session regarding DEI, call it DIY. Maybe some of you guys have not know what is DI so far. Maybe some of you already know because you already chairs for a long time, or probably because you are one of the entities that I coach, because I talk about this a lot. We are kind of like tired of hearing about DI all the time. But I have to say, I have a special passion for DI, and that's not only because I am the manager of it, but because everything that helps entities to get like better and to develop themselves is something that I enjoy doing. Okay, so moving on, you may be asking, okay, who is this person that are talking to you? So, hello peeps, my name is Morgana, but everyone calls me Morgs. I am the ECB BD Americas coach, so America's best region. Fun fact about me, I am pregnant, and in 5 weeks, my baby is going to be born. So yeah, I'm a pregnant Isaacer. I'm literally like making it, not only making our world better for future generations, but I'm also making the future generations.
Why didn't you tell us this joke before? You were keeping it to the summit?
Yeah, I'm literally full of mama jokes now.
Your mama so fun.
Yeah. You can even tell this my daughter. Your mom is so funny. Yeah. And I say like my daughter is going to be an Isaacer. She's not going to have like an option on that, I think. I'm afraid. It's like too much peer pressure. Sorry, not sorry. She's going to be even PAI 2045. So yeah, including if you want to send me Isaac t-shirts or Isaac Onesies, I accept. Feel free. DM me for it later. Yeah, so continuing. DI Development Index. So, do you know what is DI? Anyone here knows what DI means?
I'm gonna launch the poll.
Yes.
It has 2 questions. Can you see the poll?
You actually put 2 questions together, but fine.
The other question you want now, or no?
No, the other question is later, but
so answer in the group in the chat.
Yeah, answer in the chat, like if you know what the DI is or not. Development Index. Definitely incredible. I like Momina definition of DI. I really like it. Have some yes, yes, yes. Ooh. Okay, that's good to know that everyone here knows about DI. That makes my heart warm inside, because literally this is one of the things that I'm annoying people a lot, especially because of the ECB survey. If you are too young to know this struggle of ECB survey, don't worry, soon you're going to get it. But yeah, continuing. When we refer about DI, we are talking about our amazing ECB Development Index. Okay, Morgana, what is this? Okay, you guys already know, but in case that we have some members here who are still not familiar with what is Development Index, basically is a growth model that we use in ECB to measure the entities based regarding the development or maturity of their ECB. You know, entities like in the MCs, they have their organization model, like the OD model, as they say, that helps them like to identify, okay, which are the steps that they need to do, the areas they need to grow. We have the same in terms of ECB. We use this for helping ECBs to get the proper support that they need from us, from the ECB, according to their own needs. And then, based on this system, we actually divide them in clusters using the clusterization system. And clustering basically involving grouping similar objects or similar entities inside one single category. And then when you're grouping, merging these entities inside the same category, you can have entities who have similar realities, similar needs, and similar ways that we can like help each other to grow. Yeah. The current version of our development index is the 3rd version that we have already. We already like running for 3 years in a row. And lots of things were refreshed since this first time. Same way, like every year we kind of like update the indexes, give a little bit of refreshment in order to ensure that the parameters we are using are the ones that are being relevant for the entities. We have customized ECB criteria. That means that, for example, our parameters, they are focusing too much, or not too much, but like focusing on what are the things that the ECB has control, whether indirect or indirect. It's possible for you to jump from one cluster to another according to your entity performance. So, for example, if you improve it in one semester, in the other semester, you can have like a different cluster with a different group of entities. Right now, we are having 17 criteria being analyzed. And with this, you can provide like a myriad of factors of, okay, how is the situation of your entity in each one of them? And that with this, you have like a really good overview about how are your ECB processes developing. We basically have two main axes so far, entity criteria and ECB criteria. I'm also going to talk a little bit about them later. And most of these criteria, they're updated with the amazing ECB survey that used to be quarterly, but now is semesterly. And the touch points that we are having with the network, like the O2 that you have with your coach, your original calls, even for example, this summit, audit reports. So many of the informations we get from the touch points that we are having with you as a network. And some, of course, of the other criteria we take, for example, for DAO files, EXPA, or even from ECB Synergy internal. But going for the fun part. Okay, how exactly we are measuring this index and how we are dividing it. So, as I explained before, we have two axes of the development index, the ECB performance and the entity performance. The ECB performance, we have the following criteria that we follow. The audit system implementation score, that's based on how well you have implemented your audit system so far. The harassment prevention committee, whether you have one or not, and if you have, if it's complete or incomplete, like if you have like all people necessary for completing the committee. Network engagement, that's based, for example, on your interaction with ECB chair with the ECB touchpoints. For example, attending here now on the ECB Summit is the type of network engagement touchpoint. Submitting your planning, submitting the letters, having O2s, attending regional calls, attending global calls, doing ECB Academy, all of these are part of network engagement. Having trackers, tool trackers to track some of the process, such as financial track of expenses, cases trackers, breaks trackers, so you can understand how is the situation of your entity regarding each one of these topics in terms of like data management and knowledge. MC Synergy meetings frequency. The idea is that they happen at least like once every 2 weeks. It's like minimum. But of course, you can have like touch points like daily or weekly with your MC according to the reality of your entity. But like the minimum should be ideally bi-weekly, the minimum. And consultancies, whether you are providing consultancies or not. Thank you. If you're providing to your entity consultancies on the APIP or not. So for example, if you have like a system that your ECB, your LCPs or your members or even EPs can reach the ECB for getting more clarification regarding APIP, cases, harassment, or other topics. And as well, an educational cycle. Like if you're providing educational cycle to your entity that covers the topics of APIP, what is ECB role, audit, consultancy, and so on. And for the second axis, we have the entity performance, which is most likely like filled by NPS that not working at the moment because of EXPA. We are even like planning to remove it for future development index in case EXPA does not fix it. Standards response rate, how many EPs are actually like answering the standard survey after they finish their experience. The standards score, that's how many of these standards are you actually delivering, your entity is delivering during that experience. The percentage of finished to completed that your entity has, the number of lost OCAs that you have. For those who don't know what an OCA is, official case application. That means when you lose a case at ECB level, because you are not able to solve the situation at a local level or at an ECB level and you raised to ECB and you lost. Or for example, when you have like not fulfilled like a payment plan as it was agreed between two ECBs. Number of realization breaks. So for example, if you have like a lot of realization breaks and not that much number of realization, that can kind of like have an impact. The number of realizations, of course. And we have also like this finished completed score that's only used for balancing, because sometimes you have entities that only had one finish it in the period analyzed. So it's kind of like, it's a little bit for more balancing. Okay, how much is the entity like working regarding finishes because they didn't have that much finishes. And which are the differences between these two two axes, most basically? So the ECB performance are basically short-term results. So they are basically a direct impact from the ECB work. And they are more, let's say, easier to implement. Why? Because mostly they require a work that's only for the ECB chair and sometimes like independent from external forces. For example, for having a harassment prevention committee, you need to synergize with your MC for like the selection of external, of course, but once it's implemented, it's done. You just have to make sure that, for example, in case there's a case, there's a system of a protocol is working, but mostly like the creation itself of the harassment prevention committee, you just created. Regarding the educational cycle, you assemble the educational cycle and you deliver the educational cycle. So it's ECB responsibility. You do it and it's already like changing, reflecting in the axis. The amount of synergies that you have, the trackers itself, you create the tracker is created and keeping updated. So it's already like inside, it's already changed in this index. And of course, majority of this, we already have templates, for example, for the trackers, the educational cycle, you have a lot of materials that you can get from the international website that we have from the ICB. And the audit system as well. You have the templates, you have the storage tools, the tracking tools already like provided. They're going to suffer some revamping, but you can already like start using them. So all of this is kind of like easy, shortly, and like easier to implement. So for example, if right now you say, oh my God, I don't have any of this, I want to start like working this from scratch, you can do it like in a very fast pace because you already have like a lot of things. They are very short term. However, when we talk about entity performance, they are more long-term results because they are more dependent on the process that you established as ECB. And they are also like long-term planning because, for example, if you educate your entity about the standards and how to deliver better experiences and how to be more oriented when dealing with the case solving flow, this is not going to be like the results are not going to change for the next month. They maybe are going to change, like you're going to see the results by the end of the quarter or by the end of the semester. So they're not like very much short vision. They're more long vision. And also, these scores are mostly highly dependent as well on the ECB MC and the ECB plenary relationship and synergy, because it plays a bigger role from both sides on how to improve the scores. I mean, ECB alone cannot raise finished to completed. ECB alone can, for example, create trackers for breaks or create trackers from financial expenses, but they cannot control the amount of finished to completed because this is a strategy that needs to be worked together with the MC and the plenary. So it's something that takes more time to implement. So now I want to ask you from you guys, I would like for you to write in the chat, which ones are you struggling with from these parameters? Do you know? Anyone wants to share? You can also open your mic.
Can I speak?
Sure.
Hi, I'm ECB Chair of Finland. So basically, I have like a problem with the engagement of not the MC team, but the entity itself, like LCPs and SVPs and everything. And honestly, it's kind of challenging for now. And I don't know, I'm trying to figure things out or like ways or methods to like engage them more, and I will appreciate some help from anyone here. So yeah.
Engagement sometimes is also like something that can really be a setback on how you're going to improve these indexes, especially because one key for you to like improve them is actually like having a good synergy with your MC responsible and with the plenary.
Okay.
Anyone wants to share this view?
Thank you, Morgana.
Yeah. Yes, Mamina?
Hey Morgs, how are you doing?
Good. How about you?
Great. Thank you so much for a great session, as always, on the DI. I have a very specific question about touch points and engagement. It's about conferences. So my entity, Pakistan, is starting to have physical conferences again. Yay for that. And because of that, the ECB has an opportunity to have physical touch points with the entity. But it gets tricky because in conferences, people lose it's not just the leadership body, right? It's all the members. So people tend to lose interest if you talk about very functional things. If I go up on stage and I start talking about the audit processes, or if I start talking about how to build an education cycle, the members won't be engaged as much. So how do you suggest to best use that space of engagement in such a way that the members as well as the leadership body are engaged and are aligned with the ECB?
What I would recommend for you to do is that, especially during these spaces of physical conferences, instead of focusing too much on the heavy info, try to bring perspectives about how is this process that you're actually using influencing or impacting, and which are the roles that they can have. So this way is a little bit like more targeting, okay, like which are the things that you as member can do, which are the things that you as VP are doing. So they feel more engaged and connected with the thing that you are explaining, rather than a more informative session. Like the informatives, especially for the educational cycle, is better on a different format, at least in my opinion. And you use like these spaces for more like reinforcement on how they can engage and how they can participate in the process, more than the explanation of the process itself.
Okay, thank you so much.
Anyone wants to share another thing regarding struggling of any of these scores? Well, one thing that I can tell you guys that at least I see this a lot, especially after the COVID. One that I see that from the ECB performance has been like the one that has been most problematic one is the harassment prevention committee one, because most of the entities do not have a harassment prevention committee established, or when they have, it's not completely formed. And of course, the trackers. It can be like seem very simple, but since some entities were not having like breaks or cases, they were not like established such trackers, and this can be like a huge loss, because even, for example, you maybe have like one break or one case during your term, it's important for you to have such a tracker in terms of transition, because this way you can have like an overview and then you can pass to your successor. Yes. One example, for you to track the consultancies, you can use either a Google form or you can use a Podio, depending on like which structure that you use. And then you can, for example, track which are the types of consultants that you're receiving. Are the LCs asking regarding cases? Are they asking about APIP? Are they asking about standards, product minimums, or harassment? And trying to establish patterns regarding it. Because whenever you see that, for example, so many of your LCs are asking about the same stuff, you can get some ideas to what can you put, for example, on your educational cycle. You can try to kind of like categorize them and find which are the points in common that maybe you need to have extra touch points with your network, or that you can have extra consultancies or direct coaching with them to understand which are the issues they are raising. This can work more as a preventive measure than a mitigative measure. That we know that many ECBs right now, they work on a mitigative mode, like firefighting, instead of preventing, most of the times because they don't have data on how to work with stuff, because they don't have data from past periods. That's why like having these trackers, providing consultancies, and recording this data information is crucial for ECB work. So please use trackers. And regard entity performance, the thing that like it's the worst is, I don't even have to say, it's like finished to completed. I mean, I don't know what happened, pips, but completed are super rare. It's like immunity to COVID, because you almost don't see any completed anymore. Sad story. But okay, moving on. For clusterization, yay. Now we have some nice stuff. So as I talked about, like we have the clusterization, which means your reality is similar to the entities that are also in the same cluster, in the same group that you are. In the past, we from ECB used to have the co-chain model based on clusters. So you were together with same entities from the same, different entities from the same cluster, but from different regions. We changed this in the coaching system because time zone was kind of like a little bit hard when you have entities, for example, like USA, and then you have China in the same cluster, and then it's like a 12 or 14 hours difference from time zone. So super hard for getting like the calls together. However, with the regions, we kind of like mitigated this a little bit more. But still, we're still using the clusterization to understand which are the points that each entity is. And also to remind that being in one cluster or another is not necessarily like good or bad, but actually means the maturity of your processes as an ECB and as an entity. Because, for example, most people say like, oh, the cluster 1 is the best and the cluster 5 is the worst. Not necessarily. That means that, for example, you may need extra help in some of the processes, or that, for example, your entity is also dealing with something that's outside of their control and they need specific help on that things in order to move clusters. But in the end, even if everyone was having like all of the processes and all were good, we'd still have one cluster 1 and one cluster 5 because they're basically regarding maturity of processes. And it's still like people could have like super similar indexes, but because of one change or another, being a different cluster. So being cluster 1 or being cluster 5 doesn't mean that it's better or worse than anyone. It just means that you are going to have like different entities who have the same realities, and you're going to require different types of support. That's it. As I said before, like, yeah, we use this in order to give a better path, a better understanding, which are the areas that are needing improvement. Like we can have like a better path if you're, for example, needing to improve your ECB processes, or if you are needing to improve as a long-term, the entity performance processes and synergy. And as I said before as well, you can jump from one cluster to another. Just depend on the pace that you have for improving the processes and how much like the processes are bringing results. And this is an amazing map for you to understand how basically clusterization means. So here we have like 4 different like scenarios. However, like we in ECB, we use 5 clusters. However, with the scenarios, you can already like have an idea about how we are dividing the entities. So as you see in the A area are the entities who have like good ECB performance and good entity performance like indexes, which means that they have like very mature processes in terms of ECB, and also their entities having like also very mature processes. So they're having a good conversion rate from finished to completed. They're delivering our standards. They're not losing OCAs, or they're not having that much amount of realization breaks. So they're actually like in a good path and may need like less support because they already like know how to keep things on track, and they just have to work for continuing this and ensuring good transition. When you look at the B part, they also have like a very good established ECB processes. However, they still need to improve their entity performance. So their focus is going to be different. Their focus is not going to be that much on implementing the ECB processes, but however, how to synergize with the MC in order to boost the process that already exists. For example, having an educational cycle that's more tackled to the gaps of the entity, of the risks, regarding, for example, which are the standards that we are failing to deliver, or how to improve the case of inflow so you don't have that many breaks. So their focus is going to be a little bit different because of the situation. Then you have the C area, which is an area that have a very high entity performance. So they have good standards delivery. They don't have a lot of cases. However, their performance as a CB, they're still missing some of the processes. For example, they may not have a harassment prevention committee established. They may not have an audit system implemented. And this can be something tricky because they are with good scores, but maybe they have some problems who are hidden and they cannot be seen because you don't have the processes well established. So the focus here is to establishing such processes as app, so you can understand, okay, is this reality really the true reality, or do I have some hidden problems that I need to take care in order to prevent my entity to have damage in the future? And on this section, generally are the entities who don't have a chair elected, or they didn't have an ECB board for a long period of time, so they do not have processes established from ECB, And at the same time, they also have low performance index from their entity. So it can be like the smallest entities that are not working for a long time, or that they were struggling with standards delivery or all the thing. So for these entities, they basically need to focus on the basic process, how to establish things from the beginning, and also how to have a synergy starting with the MC. So that's basically a summarize. And then I'm going to show you how it looks like for the entities in the development index. So this is how the entities are distributed right now. Don't worry, I also have like slides that have by region, so it's easier for you to find your entity there. But as you can see, the entities are all very scattered around the place because each entity has its own reality. They have their own indexes, their own parameters, and therefore, like, that's why it's important that we have this clusterization, because we cannot find a single solution for everyone. Like, depending on which is your situation, you're going to need a specific support, and then you're going to have to adapt the support that we give to you based on which are your needs. And this helps us to understand where you are. Ooh, yeah. So for example, Americas, this is how it looks like. Ooh, where's Americas? I want some nice. I want some nice. I want some nice. Ooh. Yeah. So I hope that you can see. Sometimes the bubbles are above each other because you have like very similar. So if you see like one bubble very close to you, know that this ECB chair is your bro. So it's like, ooh, let's talk, bro. Let's talk about issues. We have Asia Pacific, which is the second. Yeah, actually, fun fact, Americas is the smallest region. Then we have Asia Pacific. Two entities different only, but oh, hope you guys can see it where you are. And just for the record, like, I can't, where is the, no. I don't know if you can see, but like on the middle, you can see the division, and then you can identify where's A, B, C, and D. So try to memorize which area of the chart you are, so you're in A, B, C, or D. So we have Asia Pacific again. We have Europe, who has the biggest amount of entities. Oh, yes, where's Europe? Oh my God, just Europe. Yeah. Oh, Europe, yes. I should also be screaming Europe because I'm also the ECB chair of Denmark. But I have to say Americas, my heart. Sorry, not sorry. Europe. And we have Maya. Yeah, I hope you guys are able to find where are your entities there. It's A, B, C, or D. If not, you can also like just check it later, trying to find it on link I'm going to give. But yeah, that's an overview. So based on that, as I said, like we have 5 different clusters. Do you know which cluster you are?
Wait, I'm gonna send the poll.
Yes.
I'm gonna get it right now.
Yeah, Maya is the last one. Yeah.
Can you see the poll?
Yes. So little tip. A is generally C1. B is C2. C is C3 and C4, and D is C5. Can you try to guess which cluster your entity is in? Dun, 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 dun. That's a bit my question.
We have 22 answers so far, 23. And
I want everyone answering.
yeah.
I want to know if you can guess.
There's an option for the fact that you don't know. So if you don't know, you can answer still. Everybody's concerned.
Yeah, in case you guys don't know, it's kind of fun. You're going to have lots of time to learn and to understand, okay, what I should do next to improve, to jump cluster.
Yeah. 70% people are participating.
Ooh.
Yeah.
How much people is this?
That's 38 people. But no, like 28 on 20 on 38. Out of 38, there are 28 people.
Oh yeah, because it doesn't count like us that we are hosts. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't know, don't worry. She's curious before having to worry. No. If you don't know, I'm going to punch your coach in the face because he should be the one talking to you about it
Oh.
and helping you to like develop your processes. So yeah.
I'm
Let to
glad that
catch your
I'm
coaches.
out of this. Yeah. Cool. I'm gonna end this and sharing the results now.
Yes. Ooh, so we have C1, C2, C3, C4, C5. Oh my God. And we have how many people mark it as I don't know what my cluster is? I can see.
3 people. Only 3. That's good.
It's good. That's very good. But I mean, I'm also like wondering how many people actually answered right. But yeah, that's a story for another one. So now I'm going to show you which cluster you guys are actually in. So, yay! So these are how the current clusterization is. Now I want honest sharings, like who got the cluster right and who mistaken it. Someone say me. You got it right or got it wrong?
Giselle,
yeah. Cluster 5 was sharing cookies. They got everyone on their side. Yeah. No, this one is based on the ECB survey answers of July. So the latest update that we had was like begin at July/August. We have also this view of how would be if the clusterization was done today. But also like, I'm going to explain this a little bit just in a few minutes. So just to continue. Any more people like got it right, got it wrong? Come on. Just a fun fact. Not a fun fact, it's a little bit kind of, sometimes it's a sad fact. Why we have so many entities on cluster 5? So basically, when we divide the parameters, we have the 2 indexes, the entity performance and the ECB performance. So the entities that have like the highest entity performance and ECB performance are on cluster 1. The ones that have like a high ECB performance but lower entity performance are on cluster 2. Then we became the entities who have medium ECB performance. And then from cluster 5 and cluster 4 and cluster 5, we only check ECB performance. We don't check entity performance. So we are based on that. So the majority of the entities of cluster 5, their majority of their struggles is on establishing ECB processes. So some of them can be like someone, for example, if you have an audit system established or a harassment prevention committee, if you are attending touch points of ECB, providing consultancies, having trackers. So the majority of the entities that, if your entity is in cluster 5 right now, it's super easy for you to jump cluster. You just need to work on the processes that are actually like from short-term implementation for them for moving to cluster 4 or cluster 3, depending on how then is your entity performance, because then on cluster 3 is starting to be calculated. So super simple. And if you need any help, like your cluster coach, your regional coaches are there for you. And then for the next slide, if, for example, the parameters of the index and the calculation of like which cluster you are, they change on a semesterly basis. So most likely around like December, January, February, depending on like when we're going to launch the next ECB survey, is that we're going to have like the new clusters moved. However, I'm already like making a tool to collect the data so you can have like the monthly changes. And then we can see some entities missing. No, all entities are there. Who is missing? All entities are there. All 109 entities. Yeah. My God, I lost my train of thought. Yeah. So this is updated like semesterly. And then like, if let's say it was today that the changes would happen of the clusterization, this is how it would look like. Pay attention because changes just a little bit, but it changes. So if it was today the changes, this would be like the new clusterization. So we had some drops. Why is that? Mostly it's because, for example, as you know, as we have the APIP changes, there are changes, of course, in the audit system. So especially like documentation regarding the audit score, you need to resubmit them. We have a lot of entities that back when they launched the ICB survey, they have a harassment prevention committee, but now they have not submitted like the harassment letters or the ECB establishment letters, and that kind of like made their grades lower a little bit. So if you see that you drop it, please reach your cluster coach or regional coach to understand, okay, which are the parameters that I may be missing and how can I improve that? But and you can also like check this on the link that I'm going to send you in a bit. But yeah, regarding this, okay, Morgana, I saw this, I am excited, or am I terrified, or I don't know what to do. What should be my next steps? So if you're an ECB chair, or you are MC responsible for anything that does not have an ECB chair, your next steps should book an O21 with your BD coach to understand which are the topics that needs improvement. To understand, okay, which are the areas that I'm failing or that I need some extra support. And they can also like provide you with GCPs or the contacts of other chairs that succeeded on that. So you can like reach them for getting some GCPs, to get some materials. So you can like work with this peer-to-peer, because in the end, we are all working to make an Isaac greater for everyone, not only for our entities. Also, adapt your planning to cover such areas. We just left the amazing session that Sue had delivered regarding like planning and OKRs and so on. If you check it, for example, some of the KRs that you have planned, they merge, they are connected with the indexes, you can refine them to understand, okay, how can I maximize and improve them the best that I can? And in case you're a ECB chair, align your planning with the MC. The MC needs to be on board with your objectives, because then they can understand how they can support you, and at the same time how you can support them with your own objectives, because this way like everyone wins and you're not conflicting each other, saying like two different speeches at the same time. And if you're an MC responsible for an entity that already has an ECB chair, in this case, check with your ECB like the current states of your entity in the development index, so you can understand, okay, which are the parameters and how can I help? Capitalize it in your synergy, make it strong. Especially because you as MC, especially if you're MC operations, you want to deliver best experience, because if you deliver a lot of experiences and they are good, more experiences are going to come. And your ECB chair can help you with that, educating your entity regarding standards and reducing the number of cases so you can have more complete experiences, and of course, more people advertising and being brand advocates about Isaac. You can make more leaders in the world with that. And also be involved and try to understand your ECB planning, because you're going to work together. ECB is an entity control board, it's an independent board. However, we are working together with the MC for making the entity great. So work together, involve, understand. And for the O21s, we have these links. So I'm going to give you a few minutes. I'm going to give you like 2 minutes, perhaps, in case that you don't find any slot open. Please reach them in private, like your BD coach in private. But as to you, already go for these links and try to book your BD coach for having a call for an O21, so you can discuss regarding which are the points of development index that you need improvement and how you can adapt your planning towards it. The sooner you do, the better, because then you can start working earlier on your planning and get the results faster and ensure that your entity is going to be like on track. And of course, MCECB's entity members can also participate in the such O21s. It's actually recommended because some of the stuff that we talk in the O21s are also important for them to understand how they're going to participate and be active in the projects. Yeah. So I'm going to give you 1 minute. Let me just copy this here, and then you can fun. By the way, we offer O2Ns every month. So please, if you can, whenever you have time, every month attend the O2Ns, because it's good, because we get feedback about how are the things improved compared to the last month. And as well, you can get like be updated with new feedback or TPs that we find out. So for example, my amazing chairs of Americas, they book me for O2Ns every month. Like so nice. We had some nice talks. For example, Majo from Colombia, I had an O2 on her yesterday, amazing. We even talk about food and exchange recipes. And of course, we talked about Isaac. So it's the best thing. Who here had never had an O2 with our coach? I'm intrigued now. Someone?
But don't worry, we will book now.
Perfect.
Yes.
In case you don't find slots, send them a message on Telegram. We have this calendar appointments because this is amazing. You can have like see weeks in advance and plan better. Including Americas, my October slots are already there, so you can feel free to put your times there. Cool. So now let's talk about the sheet of development index. So all of this information that I have sent to you guys and show here, we actually have it a sheet that everyone can take a look on that. Either be MC responsible or ECB teams, and like you can have all the information regarding your parameters there, which is this here, the official ECB development index. You're also going to receive like this link, this bit.ly. You can also like check it by ourselves. And here, for example, you can find like this is the DI 2021 in the beginning, the old, and this is the one like last updated in August. That's the most recent one that I show you guys. And the September one is like if the change was today, this would be like the new one. And here, for example, we have a tab of comparison where you can see, okay, compared to like the quarters, how my entity was, this decreased the scores, it improved the scores, how was the change itself. So you can actually like have an idea and like a little bit like more overview, okay, like, oh my God, my entity decreased. What do I need to do in order for like improve or to focus on? So you can see like a lot of entities decreased from August to September. So be ready to work on that. Yeah. So use this link to get information. All right. So feel free to take a look on this link on the spreadsheet. If you have any doubts, you can also like reach me for like clarifying, okay, how some of the parameters are calculated and so on, but don't worry. Okay, now we have some really amazing thing. So some people have asked, Morgana, what about when is the next DI coming? Are you going to have refreshment of index? Yes, we are. And I'm, as responsible of this project, I'm working on that. And guess what? You can help. So yes, guys, if you have any suggestions of indexes or any parameters that you think should be included into development index criteria, you can suggest them to me. I'm not going to make, I didn't make like a form because I know that some people like hate putting stuff in forms. So you can either send me on private via Telegram message, because then you can, for example, pitch, explain, tell, okay, like that's why I believe that this needs to be this way, give suggestions. You can even book an O2 with me so you can like tell me more about your idea. So if you think that, for example, you know, one index that's super important for us to start looking up because you believe that's something that is relevant for the current situation of the ECBs, please share. The same thing, like if you think that something is not well calibrated or needs to be shaped, we are also open to suggestions because we want to change it. And of course, the main reason of having a development index is ensuring that this is relevant for you guys, that is actually bringing the results and help we from ECB to make the support that we give to you the best possible. So please, please, please give feedback, give suggestions. I want to see my DM full with suggestions. Suggestions tell Cluster 2 to step up their game. Maybe distribute money or pizza with no pineapple. Well, that sounds good. That sounds good. I just have to say that, like, if all Americas step up their game and improve clusters, maybe we are going to have cake. Maybe. So, and then talk to regional coaches. They can have some nice vibes. Yeah. And also, some people were asking, "Oh my God, what about DI at local level?" Yes, you can make it. Like, you can make, including like the copy of the sheet that I sent you, like you can make a copy out of that and redistribute the parameters according which are the parameters that you think that are relevant for your entity. And if you need help, you can also like reach me. Yay. So that's it, peeps. Thank you all for your attention. We are going to play some roll calls and then we are going to have like a break of how much minutes, Rolita?
My session, so thank you, Max. The session starts in 10 minutes. So we're gonna play 2 roll calls. In between, you can drink, you can stand up, you can breathe, whatever. But the next session is in 10 minutes.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Morgana. GI is something very complicated, but very beautiful and very simple, and everything together, like all the adjectives together. And when Morgana talks about it, she makes it even more exciting and more, how can I say?
It's because the
enticing.
eye is amazing. I mean,
Exactly.
how was that Momina had defined it? Definitely incredible.
I think we should name it like this instead of development index.
Yeah, we can totally rename it. Like, I can actually keep this in mind for the next time that I give a session about the eye.
Yes. Cool. So Nitish are gonna be our replacement DJ because something happened to Luke and he's not gonna be with us until later. And we're gonna play a couple of roll calls, maybe 3, until we start with the next session. Cool.
If this was the last dance of the night, will you join me till the morning light? There's the night the morning light. Dance the night away 'cause it feels right. You can't stop, no. You can't stop, no. You can't stop, no. Can't stop me, no. Can't stop me, no. Can't stop me, no. Can't stop me, no. 24/7, free.
Yeah, let me know the place. So let me ask some man. Big up all the man. BK, you know me I say. What them for know? Ennis Musicalis. Yo, BK. Ennis Musicalis. You know this is General Degree. Hear me, son of man. Bamba lamba lam, bamba lamba lam. Shake up your bum titty, bamba lamba lam. Girl, you no ugly, no fear for orangutan. You a pretty gal, galang galang. Bamba lamba lam, bamba lamba lam. Bum titty, bamba lamba lam. For your body language, me understand. You a pretty gal, galang galang. Don't on the line. Wine panny, wine pan the time. Broke out like you lose your mind. Looking so fine with your bad girl design. Up with the up in the air. Pass out to here, dirty wine, you look here. BK animal, see you wanna steal. Who can bum titty get out of here? Bamba lamba lam, bamba lamba lam. Shake up your bum titty, bamba lamba lam. Girl, you no ugly, no fear for orangutan. You a pretty gal, galang galang. Bamba lamba lam, bamba lamba lam. Bum titty, bamba lamba lam. For your body language, me understand. You a pretty gal, galang galang. Yes, Miss Woody, she bombing so slow. Step on her toe and I move with the flow. Yippee-yi-yi, yippee-yay, yippee-yo. Miss ever ready on your mark, set, go. Look on a girl, they a galang galang. She looks so good and a style and fashion. Full of passion, no that no ration. Every man a talk how she a the one. Bamba lamba lam, bamba lamba lam. Shake up your bum titty, bamba lamba lam. Girl, you no ugly, no fear for orangutan. You a pretty gal, galang galang. Bamba lamba lam, bamba lamba lam. Bum titty, bamba lamba lam. For your body language, me understand. You a pretty gal, galang galang. Bumbo dumbo dum, bumbo dumbo.
Well, looky here, ah, what do we have? Another pretty thing ready for me to grab. But little does she know that I'm a wolf in sheep's clothing. 'Cause at the end of the night, it is her I'll be holding. I love you so, hey, that's what you'll say. You'll tell me, baby, please don't go away. But when I play, I never stay. So every girl that I meet, yeah, this is what I say. Run away, baby, before I put my spell on you. You better get away, darling, 'cause everything you heard is true. Your poor little heart will end up alone, 'cause Lord knows I'm a rolling stone. So you better run away, baby. Yeah. Well, let me think, what should I do? So many eager young bunnies that I'd like to pursue. Now even though they're eating out the palm of my hand, there's only one carrot and they all gotta share it. I love you so, hey, that's what you'll say. You'll tell me, baby, please don't go away. But when I play, I never stay. So every girl that I meet, yeah, this is what I say. Run away, baby, before I put my spell on you. You better get away, darling, 'cause everything you heard is true. Your poor little heart will end up alone, 'cause Lord knows I'm a rolling stone. So you better run away, baby. See, I ain't I got this feeling inside my bones. It goes electric wavy when I turn it on. All through my city, all through my home. We're flying up, no ceiling when we in our zone. I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood in my body when it drops. Ooh, I can't can't take my eyes off it. Moving so phenomenally. You're more like the way we rock it. So don't stop. And under the lights when everything goes, nowhere to hide when I'm getting you close. When we move, well, you already know. So just imagine. Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feel good, good creeping up on you. So just dance, dance, dance. Come on. All those things I shouldn't do, but you dance, dance, dance. And ain't nobody leaving soon, so keep dancing. I can't stop the feeling. So just dance, dance, dance. I can't stop the feeling. So just dance, dance, dance. Come on. Ooh, it's something magical. It's in the air, it's in my blood, it's rushing on. I don't need no reason, don't need control. I fly so high, no ceiling when I'm in my zone. Cause I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood in my body when it drops. Ooh, I can't take my eyes off it, moving so phenomenally. You're more like the way we rock it, so don't stop, stop, stop. Under the lights when everything goes, nowhere to hide when I'm getting you close. When we move, well, you already know. So just imagine. Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feel good, good creeping up on you. So just dance, dance, dance. Come on. All those things I shouldn't do, but you dance, dance, dance. And ain't nobody leaving soon, so keep dancing. I can't stop the feeling. So just dance, dance, dance. I can't stop the feeling. So just dance, dance, dance. Stop the feeling. So just dance, dance, dance. I can't stop the feeling. Yeah. So keep dancing. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. I can't stop the. 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 Nothing I can see but you when you